What are you waiting for, son? Come to us. We're suffering without you. No, you did something wicked. I'm not part of this. Come to me, son. Relieve us from this misery. Mom? Tristan, you cannot deny the blood that runs between you and I. Return to us. It is to us you belong. Free us from this bond. Brother, come to us. Take me away from here. I'm tired of playing with the fire. My hands have become cold. No, never. Leave me alone. You aren't my father or my mother. I have nothing to do with you. You don't have a choice, my son. The treaty cannot be fulfilled without you. We have fought against destiny for long. We will remain in dread till you come to free us. Come to me, my son. We're waiting for you. Tristan Boyd woke up from another awful nightmare. It was only recently that his foster parents had disclosed to him the fact that he was adopted. And it was since then that these unsettling nightmares began to haunt him. Tristan had been seeing these strange dreams for as long as he could remember, but he had never actually pondered upon them till now. It seemed that those very nightmares had been connected to his past all along, and Tristan was eager to know its deeper meaning. However, his foster parents, Mr. and Mrs. Boyd, were reluctant and rather wanted their son to forget whatever happened, as all other members of his biological family had passed away in a devastating event many years ago, Tristan being the only miraculous survivor. They wanted their son to move on to a better future, but when Tristan began questioning them, his curiosity increasing with each passing day, they decided it was time to let Tristan know the whole truth. Son, we don't want to lose you. We've raised you as our own, and we think of you as our own, even if we may not share the same blood. Mom, Dad, you don't have to worry. You're my parents. You two are who I call family. And I'll never let anything change that. Amy, the time has come. Remember Professor Connery had told us about this day. Yes, you're right, Richard. Just give me a moment. I'll go get it. Mrs. Boyd got up and went to her room. It was moments later that she returned with a parcel in her hands. Tristan, Professor Henry Connery had told us you would have questions about your past as you grow up. He was the man who found you when you were a baby and made arrangements for you at the orphanage. He looked after you for the time you were staying there while he searched for a family to adopt you. That was when he came to us. We were family friends. So he must know about my biological family, what happened to them. Perhaps he does. In fact, when we adopted you, it was him who handed over the remaining possessions of your family for you, including this. Son, be very careful with this parcel. Professor Connery told us never to open this parcel, and when you grow up and have questions about your past, we must send you to him with this. Tristan took the parcel in his hands. He didn't know what he was to discover, but he needed to find answers. He boarded his flight the next week, all the way to Los Angeles, California from Austin, Texas. The journey was an exhausting 5 hours flight, after which Tristan arrived in front of Professor Henry Connery's office at exactly 3 p.m. Just as he was about to enter, he saw a man walk out the door and stop, seeing him. Are you Tristan Boyd? Yes, I was here to meet Professor Henry Connery. The man smiled and patted Tristan on the back. I thought I recognized that face. Welcome to California. I am Henry Connery. Your parents didn't inform me you would be here. I would have received you at the airport. Come on in. It was my decision not to trouble you. They wanted to inform you. Well, they could have informed me behind your back. Professor Connery escorted Tristan inside. Sit down, Tristan. So tell me, how are you? I've been quite stressed since I've realized I've been seeing my real family in these strange nightmares. My foster parents have told me they all passed away, while I was the only survivor, and you were the man that found me. But how? How did I survive, and how did you find me? It's a long story, Tristan. Tristan opened his bag and took out the parcel. My mother told me to bring this. Ah, yes. Professor Connery took the parcel in his hands. It all happened 17 years ago. At the time, news reports were being published of families mysteriously being discovered dead. I had been following the occurrences and were quite bewildered about the cases. Professor Connery opened up his drawers and took out a file. These are some of the newspaper cutouts from that time. Tristan furrowed his brows looking at the unusual headlines on each article. Professor, this is very strange. How was this happening? Why? I was also quite suspicious, Tristan, and the cases only began to increase, so I decided to investigate the matter for myself. It was around that time that I met an extraordinary man. His name is Wayne Harris. He's a dear companion of mine even to this day. A very good friend who looks up to me like a student. I had become quite close to him. He often came to my office where we used to do researches on various issues, matters, and events which we would find interesting. Wayne was a brute, but I can't emphasize enough on the fact of how much he desired to seek knowledge. He has many admirable qualities, from his strong moral and profound ethics to his unique physical abilities that no mere human being can have. He was like a younger brother to me. Wayne, you're here. Come on in, sit down. How is everything going? Just as usual, Professor. How are things going with Dr. Hudson? Has he been able to give you an explanation to your condition? Unfortunately, not yet, but he's performed many tests on me. I can tell he's been working hard. Perhaps soon we might reach answers. That's good news, but if you would ask me, I'd tell you your abilities are only a natural part of you. You should embrace it and not be concerned. I don't know, Professor. I'm so different from the others. Sometimes it even feels like I'm restraining myself from hurting others, even with a simple shake of hands. Wayne chuckled. Perhaps I can use the help of a man like you. I'll be traveling out of California on an urgent trip. Where to, Professor? Haven't you read the recent news? Some families mysteriously passed away, all in a similar manner. Every member found dead. The police haven't been able to find any lead on the cases. I decided to go investigate the cases myself. Would you like to accompany me? When I explained all the bizarre incidents that had been occurring, Wayne was more than ready to assist me in my investigation. He is the type of person that always comes forward to serving a good cause. And when he heard of the families who had lost their lives, there was no way to stop him from getting to the end of the mystery with me. Of course I'll help you, Professor. You can depend on me. So Wayne and I headed out to Michigan, where the first incident had taken place. And around that time, I didn't know your family. What I discovered later was that around that time, your father, Edwin Howard, and your mother, Teresa Howard, were living in North Dakota, struggling with your sister's health, who was severely ill. I'd like to have my usual, Edwin. Good afternoon, Collins. The meat pies will take a while. Teresa's not in the kitchen. You don't look like yourself today. How's the family doing? Not well, Collins. My daughter is extremely sick. Her health has only worsened. What are the doctors saying? Their treatment has failed. Not a single medication has worked on my dear Etta. It breaks my heart to see the girl suffer like this. Edwin, a father's heart has to be strong. You're the man of the house. Things will be better soon. Keep patience. Edwin Howard lived with his family in Devil's Lake, North Dakota. He ran a small restaurant in town from which the family sustained themselves. The Howard family were living in peace. They were happy with whatever they had until Etta Howard, Edwin's daughter, fell ill. It had been nearly a month since Etta was sick. Edwin and his wife Teresa had taken her to several doctors, but none of them could help Etta. They all left informing the parents of their inability. Mr. and Mrs. Howard, I know this may be difficult news to accept, but perhaps you might want to stay by her side. Prepare for a peaceful departure. I fear there is not much time left. No, doctor, there has to be some way. Anything. We'll spend all we have. But no, not an end like this. Mr. Howard, try to understand. If you're prepared for what's coming, it will be easier for you and for Etta. Think about her, if not yourselves. No, doctor, please. I'm sorry, there is nothing I can do. We're all helpless here. Edwin, you have to do something. You have to save our daughter. Here is the Bork family. They lived in a quiet part of town in Addison, Michigan. They were the first of those discovered lifeless in a dreadful condition by the police and linked to the strange happenings. When we reached there, we found the property sealed off. However, the police investigation had been long completed. The property had been abandoned afterwards, and we were easily able to access it. We found that the police had evacuated all the belongings, but they had left behind and perhaps overlooked something quite significant to the entire incident. Professor Connery closed his eyes as he touched the floor with his palm. He suddenly held his head, kneeling onto the ground. A trickle of sweat dropped down his forehead. Seeing his condition, Wayne rushed to help him up. "What's wrong, Professor? You don't look all right." "No, it's fine, Wayne. Just feeling a little lightheaded. Don't worry about me. It seems that there are more dire things we should heed first." "What is it, Professor?" "Things do not seem as simple as I supposed. There was a ritual performed here." "A ritual? Is that what I've been sensing?" Wayne suddenly scanned the room. Stooping down to the floor, he rubbed the ground with his fingers. "There's some sort of powder here, Professor. It was used to make some strange designs. This is not just the dust. This is something else." Professor Connery furrowed his brows, looking at the traces of ash Wayne had collected onto his finger. "You're right. This must have been used in the ritual. My eyes would have never caught sight of this. That was amazing, Wayne. I must praise you." Wayne let out a chuckle, ruffling up his hair. "That might be true, but how did you know?" Let's just say it came to me as an intuition." "But Professor, something isn't right." Wayne slowly paced around the room. Nearing the fireplace, he took in a deep breath, scrunching his nose. "I'm getting a very unusual smell. A bad smell. Very strong. I never smelled anything like this from man or beast." Professor Connery placed his hand on the wall. Smoke from the fireplace had blackened the bricks. He suddenly kneeled to his side in agony. Wayne rushed to assist him, worried to see his condition. "Professor, what's wrong? Are you okay?" "Something very evil has happened here." Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.